Welcome to Beyond the Box Score, where we dive deep into NBA matchups, breaking down stats, strategies, and X factors to give you the ultimate game insights. If you love understanding not just who will win, but why and how, you're in the right place. The lights of Madison Square Garden sharpen as the Memphis Grizzlies step onto the court, entering a hostile environment in search of momentum. Sitting at 4-7 and 10th in the Western Conference, Memphis faces a Knicks squad that has been flourishing at 6-3, undefeated at home, and atop the Atlantic Division. The Garden has become a fortress, a product of New York's balance and recent form, as the team chases its seventh straight home win. Early in the season, this matchup carries weight far beyond a single game, offering a chance to reshape the Eastern landscape. While Memphis enters with just a 23.1% probability of stealing a win, opportunity lingers in chaos. For the Grizzlies, this game is not only about snapping a losing streak, it's about proving resilience against one of the hottest teams in the league. New York's surge, highlighted by a 4-game winning streak, has been propelled by an offense led by Jalen Brunson, who averages 27.2 points on efficient shooting, and Karl Anthony Towns, whose dominance on the glass gives the Knicks a rare frontcourt versatility. Memphis, on the other hand, finds itself at a crossroads in the Southwest Division, trailing teams like San Antonio and Houston. The matchup pits two contrasting tempos against one another. New York thrives on rhythm and precision, while Memphis searches for cohesion through bursts of energy and transition play. The Knicks enter averaging 120.6 points per game while allowing just 111.9, with a field goal mark of 47.7% and 37.2% from three, a reflection of a group humming with confidence. Memphis scores 113.7 per night but struggles with efficiency, shooting just 43.8% from the field and 27.5% from deep. This disparity in shot quality is central to understanding the clash: New York's measured execution versus Memphis' streaky aggression. At the core of the Grizzlies' identity is Ja Morant, who averages 19.2 points, 7.9 assists, and 1.2 steals per game, acting as both spark and architect. Santi Aldama provides 12 points and 6.5 rebounds, while Jaren Jackson Jr. anchors the interior with 1.5 blocks per game. Memphis thrives on court sets, with 14.1 turnovers per game highlighting their ongoing battle for consistency. The Knicks, in contrast, operate with balance and precision. Brunson's efficiency, Towns' 20.7 points, 12.7 rebounds, and 43.5% shooting from three, and the contributions of Anthony at 16.4 points and 2.2 steals per game create a lineup capable of dominating both ends of the floor. Memphis relies on chaos, attacking early in transition, while New York controls through spacing, timing, and precise ball movement. The determining factor lies in tempo. If Memphis can dictate speed, it becomes a high-scoring shootout. But if the Knicks set the half-court pace, their efficiency and rebounding dominance could prove decisive. Memphis comes in battered and inconsistent, splitting their last 5 games, including a 114-100 loss to Oklahoma City that exposed defensive gaps, though victories over Dallas and Houston show flashes of offensive potential. Morant's scoring has stabilized, but perimeter shooting remains a concern. Meanwhile, New York has been dominant, winning 4 straight by an average margin of 21 points, including a 134-98 rout of Brooklyn, demonstrating sharp passing, flawless spacing, and suffocating defense. The contrast between Ja Morant and Jalen Brunson embodies the philosophies of their respective teams. Morant plays with explosive energy, seeking transition chaos, while Brunson relies on timing, control, and patient execution to dissect defenses. Memphis aims to create fast-paced opportunities off Morant's playmaking, but injuries to key players have thinned their depth, limiting offensive options. The Knicks leverage their superior perimeter defense, with Anthony's 2.2 steals per game and sharp rotations, coupled with Towns' control of the paint and boards, to stifle Memphis' transition opportunities. Bench depth and balance tilt heavily in New York's favor, with contributions from Josh Hart, Jordan Clarkson, and Landry Shamet providing scoring and versatility, while Memphis reserves struggle to sustain leads. Memphis' best hope lies in pace and running before New York can establish half-court defense, but the Knicks' efficiency, rebounding, and floor spacing appear too polished to crack. Brunson's mastery, Towns' interior dominance, and Anani's defensive impact are likely to define the flow, with New York extending their home streak to 7 while Memphis competes but ultimately succumbs to composed execution. Total points are projected to surpass 230.5. Turning to the Western Conference, the Golden State Warriors face the Oklahoma City Thunder in a clash that juxtaposes rising momentum against vintage brilliance. Oklahoma City sits at 10-1, dominating the Western Conference and entering with confidence as they defend home court for a 5th straight win. Golden State, at 6-5, searches for rhythm, relying on Curry's scoring brilliance to spark the team. Golden State averages 115.9 points per game while allowing 113.6, shooting 46% from the field and leveraging spacing and fluid ball movement. Curry posts 26.8 points, 4.3 rebounds, and 4.3 assists on 45.4% shooting, 38.9% from 3, and 95.3% from the line, with support from Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green providing balance, scoring, and defensive stability. Oklahoma City, meanwhile, averages 122.4 points while allowing just 108.8, with elite rebounding, assists, steals, and blocks, anchored by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's 33.2 points on 52.1% shooting and 90.4% free throws. The Thunder's depth, defensive intensity, and rebounding dominance pose significant challenges to Golden State, particularly against their switch-heavy, pace-driven style. The matchup highlights contrasting philosophies. Golden State relies on spacing and shot creation, while Oklahoma City emphasizes verticality, rebounding, and perimeter traps. The Curry vs. SGA duel encapsulates this contrast, with Curry bringing range and unpredictability, while SGA offers control, efficiency, and inevitability. Oklahoma City's defensive depth, particularly through Dorton Wallace, aims to disrupt Curry's rhythm and exploit Golden State's rebounding struggles. While Golden State has high-risk, high-reward weapons in three-point shooting, the Thunder's transition tempo and defensive stability suggest sustained control. Bench contributions, with Butler providing steadiness against Dort's energy, could determine early momentum, but the Thunder's blend of depth, rebounding, and defensive consistency makes them a formidable opponent. Predicted final score is Oklahoma City 122, Golden State 113, with total points projected over 225.5. Finally, the Denver Nuggets travel to Golden One Center to face the Sacramento Kings in a matchup defined by momentum and desperation. Denver, at 7-2, rides a 4-game win streak with a commanding 70% win projection, while Sacramento struggles at 3-7, seeking rhythm amid early season turbulence. Denver's offense is relentless, averaging 124.2 points and holding opponents to 111.0, built on precision, balance, and the steady dominance of Nikola Jokic, who posts 25.2 points, 13 rebounds, and 11.9 assists. Embodying complete control of pace and flow. Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon provide consistent scoring and defensive versatility, while Peyton Watson offers length and rotation coverage. Sacramento, although capable of offensive bursts, averages 115.3 points while allowing 123.9, with weak rebounding and erratic defense exposing them against disciplined teams. Key contributors like Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, and Dennis Schroeder provide scoring and distribution, but defensive lapses continue to be their Achilles heel. The matchup between Jokic and LaVine highlights contrasting styles. Jokic orchestrates with precision and vision, leveraging his supporting cast, while LaVine thrives on explosive scoring and instinctive rhythm. Denver's defensive discipline and transition efficiency further amplify the Nuggets' advantage, with a +8 rebound margin and superior ball movement at 30.9 assists per game. Sacramento must rely on isolations and mid-range shooting to disrupt Denver's flow, but their defensive frailties and turnover rate of 20.2 per game are likely to be exploited. Bench depth, led by Hardaway Jr. and Brown, provides additional scoring for Denver, while Sacramento's limited support players struggle to impact the game. Denver's poise, rebounding edge, and efficient execution give them a tactical advantage, allowing Jokic to orchestrate another near triple-double while the supporting cast balances scoring. Predicted final score projects Denver as the winner, with total points exceeding 235.5, as the Nuggets continue to demonstrate why their balance and execution set them apart from teams still searching for identity. Next, the stakes rise at Barclays Center as the Toronto Raptors visit the Brooklyn Nets, two Eastern Conference teams approaching this matchup from opposite ends of momentum. Toronto, sitting at 5-5 and third in the Atlantic Division, arrives with renewed balance and a predictive 75% chance of victory. Brooklyn, meanwhile, languishes at 1-9, anchored at the bottom of the standings and desperate to halt a slide that has turned early season optimism into a battle for survival. This game represents more than just a contest of records, it is a battle of composure versus chaos. Toronto, fresh off a competitive but uneven start, aims to restore rhythm on the road, while Brooklyn, still searching for their first home win, faces a test of identity against a Raptors squad built around control and structured pace. Toronto's first 10 games reflect resilience built on structure. The Raptors average 119.3 points per game while allowing 117.1, maintaining a positive differential through offensive precision and balanced tempo. Their efficiency at 48.7% from the field, 41.3% from three, and distribution of 29.6 assists per contest showcases fluid ball movement and layered scoring depth. Defensively, Toronto operates opportunistically, generating 8.5 steals and 4.3 blocks per game, underpinned by rotational versatility that creates transition opportunities and limits opponent spacing. Brooklyn's profile is in stark contrast. They manage just 110 points per game while allowing 125.5, a gap symptomatic of defensive disarray. With 43.7% shooting and 21.4 assists per contest, their rhythm is slow and less cohesive, compounded by weak rebounding at 39.1 and limited defensive triggers, 7.1 steals and 2.9 blocks per game, that fail to disrupt opponent flow. Offensively, Toronto flows through Brandon Ingram, averaging 21 points on 51% shooting and 90.2% from the line, providing mid-range mastery and late-clock reliability. Scotty Barnes anchors both ends, contributing 16.9 points, 7 rebounds, and 1.6 steals and blocks per game, forming the defensive and rebounding backbone. Malachi quickly orchestrates tempo with 6.3 assists and 14.5 points, converting movement into spacing. Brooklyn leans heavily on Michael Porter Jr., producing 23.3 points and 7.6 rebounds at 47.2% efficiency, yet lacks consistent support. Nick Claxton contributes 3.7 assists and 7 rebounds, but with Cam Thomas sidelined, the Nets' perimeter threat is diminished, forcing Porter and Claxton into roles they cannot sustain alone. Toronto's offense thrives on motion, spacing, and disciplined ball movement, tallying over 29 assists per game and limiting turnovers to 13.6 per contest. Brooklyn, by contrast, is isolation heavy, committing 15.5 turnovers while struggling to find cohesive rhythm. Recent form sharpens the contrast. Toronto has won 4 of its last 5, recovering from early stumbles with victories over Atlanta, Milwaukee, Memphis, and Cleveland before a 130-120 loss in Philadelphia. Over this stretch, the Raptors have averaged 119.2 points per game, balancing tempo with defensive discipline. Brooklyn has lost 4 of 5, all by double digits, with only a 122-103 win over Indiana providing brief relief. Their struggles stem less from talent than from a lack of rhythm and chemistry. The duel between Brandon Ingram and Michael Porter Jr. epitomizes the tactical battle. Ingram's poised efficiency, 51% shooting with 41% from deep and 90% from the line, contrasts with Porter's volume scoring at 47.2% overall and 37% from three, efficiency that fades under pressure. Toronto's movement and spacing versus Brooklyn's volatility suggest that whoever controls tempo will likely determine the outcome. Tactically, Toronto's path to victory lies in transition control and defensive containment. Their 6 players averaging at least 9 points provide flexibility, while Barnes and quickly anchor rotations that choke off penetration. Ingram, R.J. Barrett, and Jakob Poeltl supply mid-range scoring and interior stability, allowing Toronto to attack Brooklyn's rim protection early. Claxton's lone block per game cannot anchor the Nets' defense, and Toronto's 8.5 steals per game turn live ball turnovers into high-percentage scoring opportunities. Brooklyn's second unit, thin and inexperienced, faces a steep challenge against Toronto's disciplined rotation, led by Jamal Sheed and Grady Dick. X factors such as Barnes' all-around impact and Quickly's tempo orchestration provide Toronto with control, while Brooklyn must rely on Terrence Mann's perimeter playmaking and Porter's early shooting to prevent falling behind. Toronto's efficiency, balance, and defensive reliability forecast control from the opening tip, with Ingram's leadership and Barnes' defensive presence anchoring a professional, dominant road performance. Total points are projected to exceed 225.5. Turning to another Atlantic clash, the Boston Celtics visit the Philadelphia 76ers with tensions high. Boston, at 5-6 and 10th in the East, faces Philadelphia, 6-4 and 7th in the East, in a rivalry charged with history and playoff implications. With the season series tied 1-1, every possession carries weight. Boston's narrative is one of seeking continuity amid flashes of brilliance. 2 straight wins over Orlando and Washington have stabilized a roster still finding its balance. The Celtics average 112.8 points per game while conceding 110.4, relying on perimeter movement, high-activity defense, and ball sharing facilitated by 23.3 assists per night. Rebounding is anchored by Neema's Queta at 7.9 per contest, while defensive disruption comes through 9.5 steals and 5 blocks per game, reflecting anticipation, switching agility, and transition triggers. Philadelphia operates at a higher offensive gear, averaging 122.4 points while allowing 118.5, thriving on momentum and open court bursts. They shoot 47.3% from the field and 36.9% from deep, converting 86.9% from the line. Tyrese Maxey fuels tempo with 33.2 points and 8.2 assists per game. Andre Drummond contributes 8.1 rebounds, while rookie Adam Bona provides rim protection with 1.7 blocks per night. Boston's methodical execution meets Philadelphia's volatility, with perimeter containment versus transition surge shaping the narrative. The Celtics have steadied after a rough start, including a 136-107 dismantling of Washington, led by Jaylen Brown, who posts 28 points per game, 4.9 rebounds, and 3.9 assists, shooting 52% from the field and 35.9% from three. Brown's mid-range efficiency and transition bursts stabilize Boston's offense, though defensive rotations remain critical against Philadelphia's pace-driven attack. Philadelphia balances explosive offense with occasional lapses, scoring over 110 points in 4 of their last 5 games, including a 130-120 win over Toronto. Maxey's 33.2 points, 8.2 assists, and 4.9 rebounds, combined with 47% shooting and 44.1% from 3, create a potent offensive engine that challenges Boston's structured aggression. The duel between Brown and Maxey is central. Brown's control versus Maxey's chaos will dictate the final quarter. Tactically, Boston must protect transition lanes, rotate cleanly on switches, and capitalize on second-chance opportunities through Queta's rebounding. Maxey's penetration collapses defenses, opening corner opportunities for Kelly Oubre Jr. and Quentin Grimes, while Drummond and Embiid provide interior control. Bench contributions from Trendon Watford and Justin Edwards stabilize Philadelphia's rotations, while Boston's bench remains inconsistent. The game ultimately hinges on execution and discipline, with Philadelphia's pace, home court advantage, and Maxi's dynamic control expected to tip the scales. Total points are projected to exceed 226.5. Finally, the Indiana Pacers travel to Salt Lake City to face the Utah Jazz in a clash between struggling teams desperate for rhythm. Indiana, 1-9 and winless on the road, seeks a spark to reset its season. Utah, 3-6 and fighting to remain relevant in a loaded Northwest division, looks to rediscover consistency. Oddly, predictive metrics slightly favor Indiana at 55.7%, reflecting energy potential despite the record. Both teams enter from angles of frustration, Indiana with offensive inefficiency, Utah with defensive lapses. Indiana averages 107.6 points per game while allowing 118.7, shooting just 39.6% from the field and 23.1 assists per contest. They do, however, rebound well at 49.3 per game and block 4.8 shots, showing interior promise. Utah averages 112.1 points while conceding 120.1, shooting 43%, with 27.2 assists per game reflecting cohesion, and 7.6 steals counterbalanced by weak rim protection at 3.4 blocks per game. Indiana's production centers on Pascal Siakam, who averages 24.3 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 5.8 assists, shooting 43.7% from the field and 58.7% from the line. He serves as the team's engine for scoring and playmaking. Utah relies on Lauri Markkanen, averaging 28.3 points, 45.2% shooting, and 89.1% from the line, supported by Keontae George's 7.2 assists and Joseph Nurkic's 8.8 rebounds and 1.6 steals. The matchup becomes a contest of pace and execution, Indiana's rebounding versus Utah's perimeter efficiency and playmaking balance. Indiana's recent form shows offensive stagnation, losing 4 of 5, while Utah has mixed flashes, including a narrow 105-103 win over Boston, but heavy defeats elsewhere highlight defensive inconsistencies. The duel between Siakam and Markkanen defines rhythm. Siakam's versatility, rebounding, and mid-post isolation contrast with Markkanen's precision, spot-up threes, pick-and-pop spacing, and elite free throw efficiency. Utah's supporting cast gives Markkanen a systemic edge, with George orchestrating offense and Nurkic providing interior stability. Indiana relies heavily on Siakam's all-around influence, meaning every surge runs through him. The game will hinge on rebounding battles, turnover management, and execution under pressure. Utah's spacing, playmaking, and home court rhythm slightly favor them, while Indiana's inside presence and mid-range aggression offer counterbalance. Possession management and discipline in half-court execution will ultimately dictate the outcome, with Markkanen and George likely steering the game toward Utah's favor. Total points are projected to exceed 222.5. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an in-depth NBA analysis. Drop your predictions in the comments. Let's see who really knows the game beyond the box score.